Hey, what's up, y'all? Today, I want to put to bed using math, the difference between one great piece of content, which is qualitative anyways, and 100 good pieces of content. I see this debate all the time. People are like, I'd rather have one great piece of content than 100 good or mediocre pieces of content using AI. First of all, I don't think that AI equals mediocre. I've seen a lot of good content created using AI. There was recently a study that came out from Ahrefs that only like a quarter of new pages published on the internet are just human created. So that means 75% of content put out on the internet these days is using AI in one form or another. And we can't say that all of that is mediocre. I don't think we should try to argue that. Feel free, but I'm not going to. This is just a new spin on the old quality versus quantity debate. And you're going to have your people on the quality side and they're like, it has to be perfect. And you got people on the quantity side that they're like, oh, just publish a bunch of crap and see what ranks and go back and make it better. I don't know. It probably doesn't surprise you if you followed any of my stuff for a while, but I'm a nuanced person and I don't think it's an either or. It's not a do you create quality or do you create quantity? You should create a quantity of quality content. And of course, the word quality is whatever. We can debate what quality is all day and people have been doing it for as long as really writing has existed and is going to continue on for the foreseeable future. So I'm just not interested in debating something that is never going to be solved and people are always going to have questions about. But today I actually want to look at the math around quality versus quantity and how the numbers stack up and just give you the framework through which I think about this stuff. And then you can take this framework and do whatever you want with it. Apply it to your own stuff, don't apply it to your own stuff. I don't really care, but hopefully it's helpful to somebody. So what I've done here is I have put together just a quick little table that hopefully is going to be effective here to show you the amount of content and how these numbers stack up. So this is for the quality people. So we've got one article versus here. This is for the middle people, quantity versus quality. And then we've got the quantity people. So you can do one article, do 100 articles, do 1,000 articles. One great piece of content might get you, let's say 25,000 views. And let's say that gets you 250 leads, right? Not necessarily qualified leads, but 250 leads. But let's say that your average piece of good content gets 1,000 views and 20 leads. Let's say over the course of a year. All this is over the course of a year. Now let's say 1,000 they all get 100 and they all bring in 2. So let's look at this. With one, you've got 25,000 views and you've got 250 leads. Not bad, right? 250 new emails. With this second one, we've got, let's see, 1,000. And let's add 2 zeros. So we've got 100,000 views and we've got 2,000 leads, right? Because each piece of content gets 112.5 of the great piece, but we're making up for it in volume versus 1,000 pieces that each get 100. So again, 1,000 and add 2 zeros and 2,000. So what we're getting here really is we got 250 leads, we've got 2,000 leads, and we've got 2,000 leads. And if they're junk, honestly, let's just make that 1 and we're getting 1,000 leads. So this is just the numbers for you. If you have one kick-ass piece of content, 25,000 views, 250 leads, that's great. But if you have 100 pieces of good content that each gets 1,000 visits and they get 20 leads each over the course of a year, you end up with 4 times the views, but you end up with 8 times the leads there. But then there's the 1,000 that each gets 100 views. You end up with the same number of page views, right? Same number of visits, 100,000, but you're only getting 1,000 leads. So I know where I land on this one. I would much rather create 100 good pieces, get them out quicker and get them productive for me than spend a ton of time massaging and getting one piece better than what it is, but it's taking longer to get to market and the results still aren't going to be as good. The other thing about this that I think is worthwhile to cover is you don't know what's going to work. Sure, as you've been in the industry longer, as you've been in marketing longer, as you've been in your space longer, you have a better idea of this thing's going to work or that thing's going to work. This hook might work better, that hook might work better. But at the end of the day, when it comes to content creation, and this is whether it's text or whether it's video or audio, you have to put out enough content to know what is going to work. Like we hear about these people that one piece of content just changed the trajectory of their business. And I think there's 2 things wrong with this. Just off the bat, we don't have enough information. What we don't know is we don't know how much content they created before that to get to the point where one hit. We don't know how many other pieces they created that didn't do anything for the business. And then this one finally hit. And yeah, maybe they put more time into it. Or they had the right distribution channel or some combination of the above, or something happened in the industry and they put out the right piece of content fast enough and it got in front of the right people who amplified it. We just don't know. But the wrong lesson to take away from hearing about one piece of content that changed a business is that is the only piece of content that they put out. You have to put in the time, you have to do the volume, you have to put in the reps. I've been amazed how many times I've put something out that I'm like, this piece is okay, and it does phenomenally. And there are others that I spend a ton of time on putting together all this custom stuff and whatever, and it just dramatically underperforms. You just can't know with any degree of certainty, really, what is going to hit and what's not going to hit. You're always going to be surprised either way. So you need to put out enough content, and one piece just quite simply isn't going to do it. And if you're hanging your hat, you're hanging the future of your company on just one piece of content, I think you're going to be sorely disappointed. I really think that middle one is what makes the most sense. So look at your competitors. How many articles do they have? So if they have 500 articles and you have 10, be smart about looking at the content they have and how much traffic it's driving and all that. Don't create stuff that probably isn't going to work. It's not going to give you any results. ROI is not going to be there. Don't produce it. But there might be 200 articles that you should have on your site. And if you're doing 4 articles a month, that's going to take you 50 months or over 4 years to produce all of it. Better to front load that, to go put together the argument, take Tom Critchlow's SEO MBA, to put together the argument to get the budget to produce those 200 pieces in the next 6 months, 12 months, something like that. You're getting the same amount of content out 4 to 8 times faster. It's going to get in the market. It can rank. It can be productive for you. Don't take forever to catch up to your competitors, because if they have 500 pieces of content, they're probably still producing content as well. So even if you produce 200, 300 pieces, they're probably still ahead of you. And that's okay, because you've produced the stuff that is going to give you the best return. But you need to apply this to your own business in order to know the numbers that you need to hit. I hope this helps you see why I firmly believe you should put out a volume of quality content, and why just focusing on one piece of content, one great, like, industry shifting piece of content, probably isn't going to get you the results that you want, nor is putting out 1,000 pieces of okay to mediocre content. Put out a decent volume of actually good content, and that's where the sweet spot lies, and that's how you grow a business through content.